Hey everybody, welcome back to Fit with Gopal. Today I'm joined by Wascar.
Hello, hello, everybody. How's it going?
So could you introduce yourself? What do you do? Yeah.
Currently, I wear multiple hats, but my name is Wascar Carpio. I am the current 59 kilo world champion in the IPF. I am a gym owner, a father. I have a 9 to 5 job, and just recently I started taking coaching more serious. So I've started growing my roster of coaching as well. Yeah,
Hmm. So you have a gym and you still work a 9 to 5, right?
correct,
So
correct. Yeah,
what's
yeah.
your 9 to 5, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, no, I am in banking. So I am an assistant branch manager for a credit union here. So credit union is going to be different from a traditional bank. They're not for profit versus your traditional banks are for profit. They're traded in the stock market and everything like that. Credit unions are more owned by the members that bank at the credit union. So that's going to be the biggest thing. Pretty much they offer the same products, just they're more for the people versus traditional banks are for profit.
Hmm. And is it hard, like having a gym, doing powerlifting, being a father, and having a 9 to 5?
Oh yeah, extremely, extremely hard. But I I like to say that I've found my way to be able to juggle it all currently. It's great to have a supportive wife that I have because she helps me tremendously to navigate through this kind of journey that I'm on. But it's not easy by any means. It's taken time to uh, get to where I'm at now to kind of be able to navigate all of these avenues and be able to make sure that each one of them is getting the attention that it needs from me and not one is not like lacking attention. But it definitely took time to get here. So
Hmm. And how many hours do you work a day?
who I mean my including the gym.
Yeah, yeah, like everything.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
So
powerlifting as well.
oh man, so my morning will typically start at about 7:30 in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
and my work will go into about 5:30 ish. Um,
Okay.
then from 5:30 until 8, that's when our staff hours end at the gym. So I'm at the gym afterwards for our staff hours. And then if I have to train, depending on the day, I'm usually at the gym until 9:30, 10 or so. And then I'll go home after that, be a husband and father, and then usually go to sleep around midnight, 1 a.m., and then, wake up at 7:30 to do it all over.
So you're running on like 6 hours of sleep, 7 hours of sleep.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, yeah.
Oh wow. I think
Yeah.
that's a really common thing with powerlifters. Like everybody I've talked to, they're only sleeping like 6 to 7 hours. Nobody's really sleeping over seven.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what it is because I think like the younger powerlifting generation that doesn't have to experience this, but most of us that are adults and have a 9 to 5, some of us are parents. Like there's more to it than just powerlifting, and to us, I mean, powerlifting is truly a hobby. Even though we do it at the level that we do it at, it's really a hobby at the end of the day. So we choose to do what we do and train and everything like that, but at the end of the day we have priorities that we have to take care of before we can be athletes.
Hmm. And would you ever want to quit your 9 to 5 and focus solely on the gym and powerlifting and your coaching now?
I mean, the eventually yes, that's kind of an end goal, but I don't think I'll ever stop having another job because I think for me, like once I leave my current nine to five, I have a big passion for real estate, so I see myself going into real estate afterwards. So I will always have to juggle different things. It's a matter of how much time, like the real estate side will require, which I think is going to be a lot less, being that I don't have to clock in at a certain time and I have to be there until a certain time. Um, so I'll always, and also too, in addition to that, once the gym, for example, gets to my goal of that 300 members, it's gonna require less time of me being here, and I'll be able to kind of become a member of the gym as well, if that makes sense. Where in the sense of like the responsibility still falls on me to run the business. You know, if we got to order supplies, if we got to order new equipment, etc., that all of that will still fall on me. But my end goal is to be able to have, you know, a full-time employee for our all of our staff hours, and me come in. If I have to work on the gym, I will. If I have to, you know, just come in and work out, then I also have the ability to do that. But the end goal is for me not to be here. Like, for example, I'm at the gym 7 days a week right now,
Oh
Monday through
wow.
Friday, and then the weekends I'm here because just typically, even though on Saturdays we're not staffed, is usually one of our busiest days for people to come and drop in. So I'm usually here just kind of like as a courtesy to make sure nobody needs help, and all that good stuff. And then Sundays I train, so then I'm back here. So I kind of I'm here 7 days a week. I'm dedicating, man, in the neighborhood of like 25, 30 hours a week to the gym. And my goal is to eventually leave my 9 to 5 and then only have to dedicate 4 hours to the gym a week versus what I'm doing now. So that way I can have a better work life balance overall.
Hmm. And why is there like a 300 member limit?
Just for me, that's just kind of what I wanted. I wanted to get from the idea of like typical commercial gyms or other gym owners who just want to pack their facility with as many people as possible just to make as much money as they can from their members. But for me, it was this whole idea of owning a gym just kind of came from trying to create a space that's really cool, provides, you know, high level or state of the art equipment. It's a great environment to come and lift in. And for me, the money side will come from other avenues. So I just felt like for our facility size, 300 memberships were, or a 300 membership limit will allow that luxury of members feeling like they can come in at any time of the day, 24 hours a day, and train without feeling like, oh man, if I go at this time, I know it's going to be packed. So
Hmm. And are you the sole owner of the gym, or do you
my
have
wife and I,
other? Okay.
just my wife and I, yeah.
And how long ago did you start the gym?
Oh, now we've been open for like officially open. We have been September, October, December, going on a year and 4 months, but I've had the building in April. It'll be 2 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Was corrupted strength a big motivation for you?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, there's many gyms that were big motivations. Corruptor Strength, Iron Office in Fresno, Power Build, Iron Vault, Roman Empire, like all these big gyms, like mecca gyms that you see on social media. They were all big inspirations into me building what I built here. Because I just seen like, you know, these were unique gyms that the owners were providing a lot of value for what they were charging. I was like, man, I want to be able to replicate that here because there was nothing like it. So yeah, I just was like, why not? How come nobody's done it? So I just kind of took it upon myself to do it.
Yeah. And what area are you located in?
We're in a city called Puyallup, Washington. We're about 45 to an hour, depending on traffic, from the airport. About 20 miles from the main city here in Washington. It's called Seattle. We're
Hmm.
about 20 miles from there. But depending on traffic, it could be about 45 minutes to an hour to get to us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So now I want to talk about your personal life or your backstory. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So where are you originally from? Because you're not from like you were. Your parents migrated, right?
Correct, correct. I originally am from Dominican Republic, and I was born and raised there till I was 9 years old. Um, and when I was seven, my mom had left us with my biological father back home for about close to 2 years until she was able to, with her being a permanent resident, she was able to come here and get me, my brother and I's paperwork to be able to come to the states. So we were kind of left over there with our dad. And you know, 2 years later, when I was nine, that's when we came to Washington State. I've been here ever since. And yeah, so that's kind of yeah, yeah.
Hmm. And so there's this like big thing, like big stereotype. every migrant or every immigrant in the US, they work really hard, or all over the world. And I think you're the perfect example of that, because you're doing like a 9 to 5 and you're basically working all day.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that's kind of what it is. I think what it comes from is I understand the privilege of what it is to be in the United States. I don't take it lightly. Just you see it day in and day out. How many people? I mean, some people would just die to come into the country because the American dream is a real thing. I'm currently living my own right now, and I don't take that for granted because I know how many people would trade places with me in a heartbeat, whether it's to do exactly what I do or just to just be able to say I live and work in the United States. So that's why I think that kind of mentality stems from with migrants or people that come from other countries, is because when you get here, you are able to see that as long as you're willing to put in the work and not cut corners on things that you're going after, you can do absolutely anything you want to do. So it's kind of like a mindset that once you see or you know where you come from, being that I was there till I was 9, so I had a pretty good idea of like, man, this sucks, be you know or whatever. But I also didn't know what else was out there because I never traveled outside of the country. Leading into me coming into the States when I was 9. So when I came here, not only growing up did I see my mom bust her butt to get us to the States, and then thereafter just continue to work hard to be able to put food on the table. I just seen that like grind and tunnel vision that my mom was on, and everything that she did to get us here. So there was no way I was gonna let the opportunity go to waste.
Mm. And what does your brother do, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, he works for a gun manufacturer company here. So yeah, my brother, older brother,
Mm. And what's the age difference between you guys?
2.5 years.
Okay, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, not too bad. And then I have a younger sister as well. So
Oh,
older
okay.
brother, younger sister. I'm the middle child.
Mm. So, when you came to the States, was it difficult for you to adjust to the society?
More so learning the new language because my primary language was Spanish. So I'm bilingual and speak Spanish and English. So more so, while it was a change of kind of society, more so the big thing was learning the new language to kind of find my way around
Hmm.
and kind of
And
be able to communicate, of course.
what happens in the States is like when a lot of people come over, or when kids come over, they get put into like different grades. So, for example, in the Dominican, you were probably, let's say, in grade 3, grade 4 by the
Yeah,
age
yeah.
of 10. Yeah. So in the States, were you still in grade 3 or 4, or were you like kind of downgraded or demoted?
No, 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 no. I ended up being in the same grade, except that they had put me in what's called ESL,
Mm-hmm.
so that way I can learn the English. So
Ah,
I
okay.
ended up staying in the same grade, but I just had to take an additional class to be able to learn the language.
Mm. And in the States, they a lot of people do speak Spanish, so I guess that kind of helped.
Correct. Oh yeah, yeah. The biggest one of the biggest things that helped me learn the language extremely fast was the fact that my teacher for the ESL class, she spoke Spanish. So whenever I didn't understand something, I was able to just ask her in Spanish and she would explain it in English. So that was extremely helpful, and that allowed me to pretty much learn the language like 80% of the way, to where from there forward it was more so like if I didn't understand something, I was able to piece it together based on the conversation we were having, which just
Mm,
allowed me to just continue to develop the language itself. But in about a year and a half, I was able to learn about 80% of the English, and the rest of it was learned just interacting with friends, family, etc. And of course more schooling. I didn't just stop learning afterwards.
yeah. And you went to university as well, right?
I did not i
Okay.
i went for a year and a half, but I just the way certain things were going, I didn't agree with, and I dropped out and just went took matters into my own hand and decided to just do something that I think was more valuable at the time.
Hey, so I know you're enjoying the podcast and I'll let you get back to that, but I had a quick little announcement that I wanted to make. If you're looking to lose fat, build muscle, or get fit, I can help you with that. Currently, I'm providing online and in-person training. So if that's something you're interested in, feel free to reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram, or WhatsApp. Links are in the description. So what are you waiting for? Get fit with Gopal today and back to the show. Mm. So, if you don't mind, could you expand a little bit on that? What do you mean by certain things didn't go the
Yeah. So for me, like the way the universities will work here is, for example, I was going to school for business management, so I always knew I wanted to go into business, and it was gonna be I was gonna go for a 4 year degree, bachelor's. But during that first year and a half that I went, I didn't take a single class that was business related. It was all math, writing, extracurricular courses just to get your initial credits. And I just felt like it was a waste of time and money just because if I'm going to school for a certain subject, I felt like I should be learning it from the get go and not spending the money that I'm spending to take these courses just to say I have a certain amount of credits. And what was like for me, what ended up doing it is I was going to school 4 quarters a year to try to finish as soon as possible. And during one of my summer courses, my professor, in one of my like elective classes, is called. He was talking about real estate, and that's when I ended up staying after the class was over and picked his brain further about it, asked further questions regarding rental properties, real estate investing, home ownership in general. And I felt something from within that I didn't feel the same about going to school versus potentially going into real estate. And I knew from that moment that I knew I was going to take a different path. So after that conversation I had with that professor, I stopped going to school the very next day.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And what job did you do? Did you get a job after that, after you dropped out?
Yeah. So I ended up at the time I was working at a shoe store at the mall. It was called Chic Shoes, and when I had that conversation with my professor, I was job searching, and I ended up in banking simply because like I wanted to learn all about credit, how to leverage $10,000 into 100,000. Like how can I turn 10,000 into a hundred k just by buying assets, so on and so forth. So I ended up looking for banking jobs just to self teach myself the knowledge while on the job and still make money and provide a living for myself. So that's what I did. I ended up getting into banking when I was 19. I got my first job in banking, and then that's when I started really learning about the credits and things like that, just to kind of again teach myself the knowledge that I knew I was going to need down the road, because I didn't come from a wealthy family that was going to be able to lend me a bunch of money or give me a bunch of money for me to just follow my individual career. I knew I was going to have to do it myself. So that's kind of what I did. I left that job and I got into banking so I can further learn. And it was something that I knew it wasn't going to grow right away because, started banking in 19. But eventually it did develop into me being able to own my own home currently, and I was able to be able to do a gym without having all the money to put down just because of all the knowledge that I've learned. So that's kind of what I meant when I said it's like I didn't agree with the structure of the schooling system. So I was like, how can I do this on my own and make sure the time that I am spending in something, it's something not only that I want to do, but then number two is going to give me an instant return, whether that was knowledge or monetary.
Hmm. So now I want to talk about your lifting career.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
how did you get into lifting?
It was during COVID. So right before COVID kind of took off essentially in 2020. I've always been in the gym. I have a short athletic background from high school. I did sports for 3 years. I did cross country, wrestling, and track from junior year to senior year. I didn't play any sports besides seventh grade. I tried baseball once because I'm from Dominican Republic, so I was like, I have to give this a try. but I didn't like it. And I didn't do any sports in eighth grade or freshman year. But I ended up finding out that, when doing the right sport and having the right reasons, I'll be able to, you know, kind of do that. So after high school, you kind of find your new reasonings to do, or you're trying to find your way. And I used to wrestle at 106 and 112 pounds, which in kilos that's like somewhere like
45.
40, 45 and like 47 kilos, somewhere
Hmm.
around there. So that's where I used to wrestle in high school. So, I gained a bunch of weight. A lot of people know this about me, but on my peak, I was 75 kilos when I like
Wow.
peaked after high school, like weight gain wise. So, during the time between high school and, before COVID, me and my wife would go to the gym. We would be in and out, but I'd always just like, 1 foot in, 3 feet out, just because I was like, yeah, I'm going to the gym, but like I'm not taking care of my diet.
Mhm.
So when COVID kind of happened, all of the big commercial gyms where I used to go, where they closed down, and I ended up finding a private gym that was local to me. And I was doing a set of squats, and one of my now members, he came up to me and was like, "Hey man, you ever thought about doing powerlifting?" I had no idea what the sport was, and I mean, training wise, like whenever I would go in the gym, like if I'm doing legs, I'd always start squatting. If I'm doing back, I would deadlift. If I'm doing chest, I'd always bench. So I was already powerlifting per se, but
Mhm.
never like on a powerlifting program, nor did I know what the sport was. So he approached me and explained it to me, and told me that there was weight classes involved, and it just reminded me a lot of wrestling, and wrestling was my absolute favorite sport in high school. So I went home that night, and this was in late December of 2019. I went
Mhm.
home that night, and I told my wife, and I was like, "Hey, honey, there's this guy at the gym, and he's telling me about this powerlifting sport." And I was like, "This could be a good way for me to like lose weight and get back into shape, right?" But I know myself. I knew that I was, if I did it, I was gonna be very try to be competitive at it. There wasn't gonna be like, if there's a competition, I'm gonna try to win. I'm a very competitive individual.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, so I ended up getting on a program early in 2020, and then my first meet in May of 2020, so 5 months later. And I was able to, find out, do I really like the sport? Do I want to pursue it further? And I definitely did.
Yeah, world champ now.
Yeah, yeah.
So you've only been powerlifting for like 4 years.
Correct. I'm going into my fifth year right now. Basically, I'm entering, like, now that we're in December, like this concludes my fourth year powerlifting. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy because in 4 years you've become the world champion twice,
Yeah.
and now you're the first 59 to go into Sheffield.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
Oh man, it's an honor to be in the position, because it's nobody really thought it was gonna be able to get done, just where, because of the where the world record was, the 95% that you had to hit. And but I never looked at it as this like impossible thing. And that's where, with us, the 59s, most of us are either really small lifters that um just don't have the muscle mass to be able to lift the certain loads that Fedoshenko did,
Yeah.
or typically us, we have to cut into the class, which usually kills most of the lifters. But I think the biggest thing that helped me was having the wrestling background and having the experience of cutting weight once upon a time. It's just one of those things where I was able to adapt very quickly and find out that I was indeed a gifted athlete. And it was one of those things that I never looked at that mountain like it's, oh, this is impossible, it's never going to be done, or nobody's going to break that world record. I just knew that if I have enough time to be able to do it, I'm going to do it eventually. So I knew that was gonna. It's just a matter of when or what year I was gonna end up on that Sheffield stage, and it was never. Oh, I don't think I'm ever gonna do it. I just knew it was a matter of time.
Yeah. Now, my next question is, do you think you can win?
Do I think I can win this
Yeah.
year? No. I have very ambitious goals, but I'm also realistic with them. This year, I think with the current competitors that are showing up, I think for me, a big win, like I said, like if I put my best foot forward and have the meet that I know I'm capable of, anywhere in the top 8 will be a great win for me this first year. But with that being said, I do believe in the coming years, I have an opportunity to put myself in that conversation simply because we have seen year over year other weight classes. We're seeing it now. I mean, Kel is projected to absolutely kill the 66
Yeah.
world record, right? So not only is that going to make it so like, okay, well, the next person or even himself, how far can he push that? Let alone he might be the only person currently that could hit the 95% threshold to even make it back to Sheffield, right?
Yeah.
Especially if he does like the 800 kilo total, everybody is kind of anticipating him to do, because the 95% is like somewhere like 750 something, which is insane.
760. Yeah.
Yeah, so the next person closest is Daniel Clemens, which we still have to see him back on the platform post his injury and see how he is. So that's kind of like, well, if he really does 800 at Sheffield, in order for him to be in that 101% next year, can he do set 820? So that's always going to be the question. Same thing with Austin Perkins. If he demolishes the world record this year, trying to beat Kel, and he pushes that to that 870, 880, whatever, how much can he do in the coming years to be above that 100%? But I'm in a unique position where I'm still growing in the class and I'm still getting better year over year. So I do think that given enough time, which I think my time will come, I will be able to surpass the world record and start throwing my hat in there as a person that can go 101, 102% of the world record. And then that's when I feel like I'll have more of an opportunity to win, unless people have a terrible me. I'm not. I'll never prey on people's downfalls because I know how much work we all do to get to that platform, or just to compete in general. But unless people end up having terrible meets, that's the only way I see myself this year. Getting climbing up to the rankings. But for me, this first year, checking it off as I did it. I stepped on the stage and being in that top 8 conversation. I think it's a very big win for me, and just kind of go up from there.
Hmm. Are you gonna try to do your best? Like, are you gonna try to maybe aim for, let's say, 670, 680 this year?
I think it will all kind of, we will see what the body gives on the day. I know what I want to hit. It's just gonna be a matter of, is the body going to allow me to do it on the day? That's really it, right? I can only plan so much and prepare. Um, Based on recent training, the possibility of attempting the world record is in the cards. I think, of course, I'm going to talk to my coach and kind of game plan from there. We'll see how the weight cut goes, etc. But I think, like, for me, best case scenario would be 670. I
Hmm.
wouldn't want to shoot for anything more because it'll just come down to the very last deadlift. I don't think I'll need to squat any more than I need to know what I have to load on my third deadlift, and same with bench. But kind of like this year at Worlds is like, I'll have to be perfect along the way. I won't be able, if I miss a squat or if I miss a deadlift, or I mean, sorry, if I miss a bench, then I know that possibility is out of the cards, right? So I just have to be the best athlete I can on the day. Continue to believe in myself that I'm capable of doing it. And, the day will give what the day will give.
Hmm. Yeah, I think so you're probably gonna go for like a bigger total next year or the year after that, right?
Correct, 100%. Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, Sheffield is just, it's just that meet where there's no you don't have to execute, or you're gonna lose a world championship, right? It's like, it's more so, it's the meet where you have 2,300 people, a sold out a theater, that are there to watch powerlifting, and there's no world title or national team spot on the line if you miss, right? Worst case scenario, you miss a lift, but at least you know that you tried. And if you're gonna attempt a big lift, it's on the Sheffield stage if it's not in the gym. just like Matt Gary says, there's 364 other days to PR, but when you step on the world championship stage, that's the one day you can become a world champion. Well, in this case, you don't have that kind of pressure of like, okay, I have to hit certain lifts, or else I have there's an option for me to lose and not become a world champion. At Sheffield, it's more so how far can you push yourself when you don't have any handcuffs keeping you back from finding out what your true potential is. And that's why we see that me year, for the past 2 years do so many world records are broken because of just there's no, if you fail, then at least you tried. At least you were brave enough to load the bar.
Yeah. And even if you don't come first, and if you just break like the squat, bench, and deadlift record, you're still getting paid.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. You get paid for individual lifts that you break, and then top 10 also get paid. So
Yeah. So
yep.
if you come, let's say, top eight, what's the payout for top eight?
Oh, I'd have to look it up. Let's see here.
That's all right.
Yeah,
You don't have to
I
look it
don't
up.
know off
Yeah,
top
yeah,
of my head. I know first place I think is 25,000 euros.
yeah,
Second place is 12,500
yeah,
euros. Third place I think it's 8,000, and then so on and so forth. I know 10th place it's 1,000 euros, so it's gonna be more. It's more than 1,000 euros for sure.
yeah. Probably
Plus
like
the individual
1,500.
lift. Yeah, something like that. I would say coming in at eighth place and up. It'll probably start at like 1,500. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, do you think people are overlooking you when it comes to Sheffield? Because there's all this talk about like everybody else, like Shell, even the 83s. Like you have people like Russell or he who lost. Who I mean, he came second, but
Right.
yeah, there are talks about him, but nobody's really talking about you.
Yeah, I mean, and I yes, I do think they're overlooking, but I don't blame them either because again, it's like everybody's had this like idea in their head that Fedoshenko set the bar so high that's like nobody's gonna reach it, which is fair. It's a fair thing to kind of assume, but I do believe that when I step on that stage and I do. And if the day gives me the day that I believe I'm capable of, people will see that I'm gonna be the guy to break the world record and take it further. And it's no longer gonna be, oh, this world record is this unachievable number. It's like I've only been in the sport for 4 years, and I'm the second strongest 59 in the world in a 4 year time. He's been in the sport for like 20 plus years. So I
Yeah.
just know it's just a matter of time before I have the opportunity to take a stab at that record. It's not something that it's in the back of my mind like, oh, I hope someday I can do it. It's more so like I just know I'm capable of it, but I'm not going to force any progress. I'm not going to chase any numbers in pursuit of the record. I'm just going to continue my training, continue to do what I do best, and that's going to be executing and winning, and eventually it's going to come.
Yeah. And how old are you?
27.
Oh wow. So you're still in your athletic prime.
Exactly. Yeah. And that, yep. I mean, some people will argue that powerlifters at athletic prime is when they start entering their 30s, because that's when you
Yeah.
really have that muscle maturity. You've had X amount of years under your belt. You know exactly what works for you. I mean, Steve and I, my coach, we've been working now for over 2 years, so we know what works. We know what to expect from weight cuts, etc. So it's just a matter of just continue to grow, continue to allow the body to push itself further, and it's just a matter of time.
So, do you think you'll be the first 59 to, let's say, hit 700 or even 750?
Ah, that's a good question, and I recently got asked this on one of my Q&As that I did.
Mm,
Um, do I believe that is possible? Yes. Um, with everything that I have going on, the way I approach that question is I don't think it's impossible. It's gonna be a matter of, do I want to give it the time it needs to achieve a feat like that? Simply because I'm a father. All the time that I'm spending here right now, I'm very grateful to be doing this interview, but I could easily be at home with my son, right?
yeah.
And that's just one of those things. Is powerlifting asks and requires so much of our time, for a sport that right now, yes, there's monetary value in it, like Sheffield winning worlds with sponsorships and things like that. But when you really break it down, like we're all doing the sport as a hobby to say that we became a world champion or went to 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 worlds and competed against the best. But the sport is not in the Olympics. The sport itself is still at an age where it's still considered niche to some to the masses when you compare it to other big sports like basketball, football, etc. It's still a
Yeah.
niche sport. So how much time am I willing to give it? More time, I should say, in pursuit of that big number 700. Because the way I see it is, uh let's say let's say 4 years from now, and another 4 years under my belt, I am able to add, the kilos that it requires to hit 700. It's only going to be one of those things where, like, okay, I was the first to do it.
Yeah.
So, after that, you get that dopamine rush of like, I was the first to do it. Yes, you're going to be engraved in the history of the sport as the first, but at what cost? That's
Mm.
and I think from the outside looking in, when people look at that possible achievement, it is amazing. It is going to be something special the day that it happens. But in the question that'll have to ask myself if I do decide to chase that number is, what am I willing to lose, compromise, be non-negotiable in pursuit of a 700 kilo total? And then is it going to be worth it? Because what's at the end of it? I know, let's say I do hit that number in 5 years, I still have to go to sleep and wake up the next day and do it, continue training. It's like, uh win, lose, at the end of the day, we choose to do this all over again. It's 700 the end goal? Like, I hit that number and I spent so much time in pursuit of it, that now what? Like, do I just continue to push further and continue to put my body through what I have to do to continue to push further? And I currently, I don't know. I don't know if I'm willing to compromise more time with my family in pursuit of a number that's only going to matter for the first 24 hours that is done. So
Mm. And are you so by the way you're talking, it sounds like you're gonna retire soon.
not soon, not soon per se. I do have goals that I want to achieve. One of them being breaking the 59 kilo world record. I do, in my opinion, I think that record is tainted by the individual who holds it. And I want to be able to have somebody like myself. I just believe that I'm the one that's gonna break it currently. To be on that number one spot as the representative of the best in the class. So I do have that big goal of mine. So however long that takes me to achieve, I'll be around in the sport. But I guess the Delaney said it best, and it's one of those things where once I do check off the goals that I have for myself, I'm not gonna just power lift for fun. I don't do this for fun. I do this to be the best. And if I'm not gonna compete at the highest level, I'm not just gonna be in the gym for 3-4 hours a day just to go do a local meet and say that I competed for fun. Like, that's not gonna be me. I'll always be in the sport by all means, like, with my coaching starting now, owning, a powerlifting bodybuilding gym. I'll always be in the sport. It's just a matter of when I do achieve those goals, I will be asking myself, it's like, okay, what am I going to chase after this? I've checked off the boxes that I wanted to check. I've made an impact in the sport in certain ways. So what am I going to be chasing after that? Because if it's just to add, another 5 kilos on my total, is it going to be worth it? And that's just the big question that us, like, and I'm sure other parents that powerlift can relate, is like, when we're kind of chasing all these little PRs here and there year over year, it's like, at what cost does it come, and is it worth it? So that's really what it's going to be when it's all said and done, and I do achieve my goals. It's like, do I want to continue chasing like other, or we'll see, powerlifting over the last 3 years has grown exponentially and new things are being added. Maybe, my longevity in this sport continues to get extended because new things come about. But for now, it's just, I have certain, I don't have a timeline of like, okay, I'm going to be done in X amount of years, because I don't know what tomorrow holds for me when it comes to training, and a week from now, a month from now. I don't know what that looks like of when I'm going to achieve the goals that I want to achieve.
Hmm. Now, going back to you getting the world record, there's always this sentence under every Instagram post that you post. Why not me?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So could you expand on that? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's that self belief of that saying, like, why not me? Somebody else has done it. Everybody thinks something's impossible or delusional until it's done. So I personally, ever since I started putting that in my bio, I don't just do it to be cliches because I truly believe it. It's one of those things where we're all we're all meant to be special in some way. It's a matter of finding out what you're special at or what you meant to be special at. In my shoes right now, I found powerlifting by accident. I had no idea I had the gift of strength, and I want to find out what I'm capable of. What is my max potential? So when early on, I knew, again, I'm a very competitive individual. So I started researching, like, who holds the current records, who's the number one person in the United States, who's this, who's that. So I started chasing those numbers. And even though my very first meet, for example, I believe my total was 525 kilos at 66, I believe it was. I knew that Charlie Yang at the time, for example, held the national record at 623 kilos, or 23 and 623. So that's a big gap to fill, not only to add 100 kilos basically to your total, but continue to go down another weight class. But again, Charlie did it, so why not me? It's having that like self belief, almost a slightly delusional of, like, no, I can do this. So that way, because if you don't believe in yourself, not only is nobody else going to believe in you, but, like, what's the point if you don't have a self belief in some format that you can do what you're trying to do? Just stop. Because
Hmm.
if you're not gonna believe in yourself, why should the people around you? So that's why I love that quote. It's just, why not me?
And do you think the reason you've won world twice, the reason you are the first one to go into Sheffield, is what that quote? Why not me? Is your self belief?
Correct, 100%. I do think that, because it's not easy by what I do, and I'm not trying to say that nobody else can do it, but it takes a lot. It takes a lot of sacrifice. Like, for context, I haven't had, like, here in the States we have the holiday Thanksgiving. I haven't sat down. I'll sit down with my family and stuff. But for the past 4 years, I haven't broke bread with my family because I'm dieting, and I choose to eat my own meal prep. Christmas dinners, I don't participate in them. There's certain birthday parties that I've missed. There's certain anniversaries with my wife that we've had to make sacrifices on because I'm on diet, or I'm on prep, or I'm 1 week out, or this and that. And I just think that there's it's for a lot of powerlifters, in the sport, that are entering or are in the sport, this is their first sport, so they don't have that mindset of genuinely powerlifting. As a whole, it's easy. You get under the barbell, you do your set, and then you rest. But I've had this grit and mentality from wrestling, that I know what hard work is, and I know what it takes to be great at it. So that's what it is. It's like I have this undeniable drive that, for me, I will leave no stone unturned. And every time I step off the platform after that final deadlift, I want to know deep inside that I gave it everything that I had. And that's what it is. It's that self belief that nobody can replicate it, in my opinion.
Hmm. And you said you're always on diet. What's your body weight right now? Because it's kind of like the off, but like you're 5 weeks out right now. So what's your body
Yeah.
weight currently?
So I am 62, 63 kilos. What is that?
Oh, wow. Yeah, probably 62. Yes.
62, yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
62 kilos. Yep. And then now from there, I can cut. I mean, I've done big cuts in the past, especially before Steve. I can cut a lot of weight and I don't have an issue with it. Like, just dehydrating myself in hot bath or sauna. But ever since Steve took me on, we've had the protocol to cut from 136 to 137 at most. I cut from 137 at Worlds, and we had great success there. So I'm basically near done with my weight cut, I guess you can say. And I'm going into this last block with hopefully eating. I mean, I'm eating the most calories I ever had. Training is going phenomenal. So now it's a matter of putting the final touches in training, losing those last 1 or 2 pounds or a kilo or so, and then especially with weigh-ins being later in the day at Sheffield, I think weigh-ins are at 12:30 weigh-ins because lifting starts at 2:30, and then being that I am on flight B because the women's are before me, then I know I'll be able to. I can safely cut from 137 or whatever that is in kilos, like 61.7 or 61.8. I can easily cut from there. So
Yeah. And so I see this comment on every post of yours. You don't have to answer it, but how tall are you?
5'2",
Okay.
5'2" and a quarter. I think it's 157 centimeters.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
yeah,
I know
because
it.
I see that comment everywhere and nobody replies to people who ask that. So I was
Yeah,
like, I
yeah,
need to ask that question.
yeah. 5'2", or 157 centimeter.
Yeah. Now, growing up, were you always this tall? Or
Yeah, pretty
oh,
much, pretty much. I
yeah.
pretty much. I think I hit. I've been 5'2" since like eighth grade, and I
Mm,
haven't grown since. Yeah.
yeah. And what does it feel like how to be like 5'2"?
I mean, I don't know. I never really think about it. I just it's my
Okay.
normal. Of course you get the teases every once in a while of being short, but
Yeah.
I don't really think about it.
I think that's really common with like confident men. They don't really think about being short, whereas some men they like really obsess over it because a lot of girls have a problem with that.
Oh yeah, I 100%. But hey, my wife and I were basically the same height. We've
Mm.
been married now for 4 years, together for 10.
Oh
So
wow.
so I'm just like, I don't gotta worry about that.
So high school sweethearts, right?
Yep, yep. High school sweethearts. We've been together. I was 17 and she was 16 when we met. Yeah.
And how is that so far? Like being married because you got married right as you started powerlifting, right?
Yes, basically, yeah, yeah. So I got married right before my career started in October 17th. We got married, and yeah, it was one of those things where we always had the same idea that weddings are not necessarily not that they're not for us, but we just think about them differently. And we ended up getting married, just the two of us, and then our best friends, and we told the family like a week later, it's like, hey, we're married now.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
did they have a problem with that, or were they
yeah.
okay?
Some people did, but
Mm.
most of them were happy for us. Because
Ah,
of course,
okay.
like that's the thing with like weddings in America. It's like you're really not doing this celebration for yourselves. You're doing it for the people that are coming and for you to talk to them once every 3 years. So we just didn't want to put ourselves through that stress of like you only get to have one wedding and to be that stressed out. And you hear it all the time from groomsmen or brides that like you plan this whole day and you have this idea in your head that is going to be so magical and this and that, and then you catch yourself laying in your bed after the fact and you're like, man, I don't remember what just happened. And we just didn't want to go through that we just believe that that day is so special that it should be remembered and it should be stress free. So that's what we did. I'm privileged enough to be able to say that I remember that day from start to finish, and I'm able to always remember that and know that it was completely stress free and it's the way we wanted it, not what everybody else wanted.
Yeah, that's weddings everywhere. Like, I think most people get married just to like show other people that oh we love
Yep,
each other.
yep, yep,
Yeah.
yep,
So now getting back to powerlifting, you have a rivalry with Sergey.
yep.
So you guys are probably gonna compete against each other next year in Worlds
Hopefully,
at
yes,
Worlds.
at
Yes.
Worlds, hopefully. Yep.
Yeah. So are you looking forward to that? What do you think's gonna happen then?
It's been a matchup that I've been looking forward to since I came to the IPF, former USAPL athlete. And I knew that he was the guy to beat. If you want to be consider the best in the world, you have to beat Sergey Fedoshenko. And while right now I am the current, defending two-time world champion, I haven't taken that title away from him. He's won it, I think, 8 times since powerlifting went classic in 2012. He's won ever since. So he's the guy to truly take the title from. And of course, I'll be the one trying to defend the title that I've won. I look forward to the matchup. It's one that I will be doing everything in my power to come out on top. I will be doing everything within my wheelhouse to allow me to show up on that day. Whether that's training, arriving early, diet, make sure everything's on point, resting, training, everything will be done accordingly to me making sure that I come out on top on that day. He recently competed and he put up a 625 kilo total. So, my thought process with watching him compete recently was I think he was injured, or the age is finally getting to him. I don't know. I guess time will tell. He never really does like recaps of his meets. He'll just post that he won and all that good stuff. So we'll kind of see what version of Fedoshenko we get. But I do know that post Sheffield, people will be able to realize that I will no longer be the underdog. Even though I'll probably go in with that mentality, just knowing who he is as a lifter. But it's the matchup everybody wants to see. Will I beat him? Will he actually lose and take his first loss of his career? And I look forward to being the first one to make sure that he gets that first loss.
Yeah, I hope you guys are, both of you are at your best, at your
Yes.
peaks, so that we can see like possibly the best matchup in IPF history.
Correct. It's one I mean, he's been in the sport for a very long time. He's basically won every title that he's had, basically with his openers. And it's time that he actually gets to face somebody that's going to give him a run for his money, and he can no longer, because I'm sure he most likely has that mentality of like, okay, it's the same people I competed with last year. Nobody's really made a lot of progress. I know if I hit my openers, I win, and then I can do whatever with the rest of my attempts. It's almost like he's always been at Sheffield, pretty much.
Yeah.
You hit your opener, you win, and then how far can you push the total, right? But in this specific case, he's gonna have to be perfect. He's gonna have to execute. He's gonna have to lift to the best of his abilities, because I know that when it comes down to it, I'm gonna give him the biggest challenge that he's had in his career. So he won't have room to miss.
Yeah, this could be something like the Russ endurance battle.
Yeah,
It could
exactly.
be identical. Yeah,
Yep.
and
Yep.
I'm looking forward to it.
Dude,
Uh,
I can't wait. I can't wait.
yeah. So, so before you do compete at Worlds, you're gonna have to compete at World Games, which you're going to, correct?
No, actually, Worlds comes before World Games.
Okay. So after that, you will be going to World Games, right?
That's currently the plan. Yes, currently that is the plan. And I'm very excited about it because with my coach and I, we haven't decided just yet if we're gonna compete as a 59 or because it's GL point based. Like I'm usually the strongest at like this current body weight, or so that'll be the other question because I can weigh in up to a 66. Like, do I just come in at like 62 kilos and just put up the best performance number wise and not have to worry about cutting and none of that stuff and actually like take training and recovery to the next level. So we'll see. That is luckily in the cards for me since I made it as a 59. I don't have to make 59 versus the 66s have to make 66. So I kind of get that option to weigh in between. So we'll see.
Yeah. So at World Games, you're going to be competing against Pana, Kasim San, Jonathan Garcia, and yeah, I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
from the 59s as well, you have other people.
correct,
Yeah.
correct.
So that's going to be an interesting matchup as well.
No, that is going to be a lot of fun, and I think that one, being that again, it's the first World Games that's going classic. I think that's going to
Mm-hmm.
be very exciting for the powerlifting community, and I think people will take training. There's conversations of people trying to decide what meet they're going to do, whether it's World Games or World Championships. Especially too with 2026. I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, Sheffield will be in January again in 26. So it's not only do people have to consider Worlds and then World Games in like early September, late August, then you have to think about Sheffield again in January. So how many times are people going to be wanting to compete in that 12-year or 12-month time frame? So again, luckily, I'm in a unique position where I hopefully will only have to cut two times this year, which would be Sheffield and then Worlds. And then World Games, I'll have the option to weigh in the middle. And then, assuming successful at making Sheffield again in 2026, I'll get the opportunity to compete at that at 59 again.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, you don't have to compete at nationals this year or
That's
next
the
year.
goal. Yeah, the
Yeah.
goal is to not have to do nationals, is to put up a significant enough total where my coach and I feel safe that nobody's going to come out of nowhere and beat the total. That is the goal, to kind of do Sheffield, have 5 months to train for Worlds, and not have to do nationals, because our nationals is in April. So I believe it's like 12-week turnaround time to Worlds.
Yeah.
So ideally, I wouldn't want to have to cut weight for that, compete, and then turn around and do it again for June.
Yeah, because I remember last year, Russ actually got his total got messed up because he had to do nationals and then go into worlds.
Correct. Correct. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so it's good that you don't have to do nationals. You can just go straight into worlds and focus on important competitions.
Correct. And then that way I
Yeah,
can put my focus on hopefully Fedoshenko. And the only reason I say hopefully is, while he did compete at the Asian Championships, and he was saying that his goal was to be at the World Championships. I don't know if, for example, Germany's going to allow Russia to enter the country. Like, nobody knows that. So the
yeah,
goal is to, of course, face him at the World Championships, but only time will tell if that matchup will indeed happen. And I will train as such. I will treat my prep as such that he's going to be there. But I won't know for sure until after weigh-ins, and I see him in the warm-up room.
yeah. And I wish you the best of luck for that, and I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So before we wrap this up, do you want to say anything? Yeah,
Uh, I mean, thank you for the opportunity to come on. Thank you for reaching out.
yeah. Thank you
Um,
for coming on.
yes, absolutely. And
Yeah.
I hope you tune into Sheffield. It's going to be an amazing day. I look
Oh, for
forward
sure.
to putting up the best performance that I can currently, and hopefully we shock the world on the day.
Yeah. Looking forward to that, and I'll be sure to tune in. I think everybody watching this is going to tune into Sheffield.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, that's like our Super Bowl right there.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on, and thank you everybody for watching. Like the podcast if you liked it, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.